Welcome back, everyone. On today's episode, we address click rates, what's the deal with subject lines, browse abandonment emails, trends with return policies, and even whether size matters. I'm Greg Zakwitz.
And I'm Gabe Macaluso. Greg, did you know that April is National Stress Awareness Month?
Stop yelling at me! Welcome, everyone, to today's shows. You know how it works. 5 topics, 3 minutes each. We run long, apologize later, and then move on. Before we get started, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. If you have any email questions you want us to answer, leave them in the comments section. Our first topic is click rates. Gabe, brands always ask about ways to improve click rates in their email campaigns. Some might say create bigger call to action buttons. Some say to put more links in the email. What's the secret sauce?
All right, so number one, make sure that everything in your email is clickable. It's still amazing to me how many emails I get, and you have this beautiful hero image, and it's like, big sale, 30% off, and then you click on it, and it does that dreaded just like floating image in my Gmail inbox, and I'm just like, ugh. And for most people, like, if it's a really good brand and a really good sale, like, I'm gonna scroll down, I'm gonna shop anyway. Most people, that's it. Their attention span is gone, they're done, it failed. They're going to try one thing. They've hit the speed bump. They've been rejected. Email gets deleted. So I'd say that's number one. Make sure everything is clickable. Number two is play with your color of your call to action buttons. You know, there's all kinds of psychological studies. What means go? What means stop? What's more likely to be clickable? And just make it clear. So that's the big thing. People are lazy when they're shoppers. So if you expect them to click somewhere, tell them what you want them to do. Click here, shop today, here's where you go to get the sale, all of those types of things.
So I want to talk about color, right? Okay. So color is one of these things where we've been hearing for years, like, oh, you know, orange gets 5% better clicks than purple and whatever. So in my opinion, this might be different on landing pages and things where you're trying to do something very specific. I think email, you have less time than maybe a landing page. But I would say the color doesn't matter so much as long as it is visibly standing out from the rest of the content. It could be red, it could be purple, it could be, I don't know, give me a different color, whatever the color of my sweatshirt is right here, right? I don't think the color matters. That's just my personal opinion on it, but I think it needs to stand out. Where are you from the color standpoint?
Yeah, so first of all, your sweatshirt is mint. It's definitely mint green. We're going to go with that color.
Mint. I knew I was hungry.
Yeah, it's the color of money. Anyway, in terms of color, I think it's one of those things that's testing. The good news is if you're to the point where you're testing the color of your call to action button, you've already accomplished almost everything that you need to do to have a successful email program. So, you know, I think for me, the biggest thing with color and the button is how does it align with your brand? If my colors are blue and red and I'm randomly throwing in a neon pink button just because to see, like, it's not going to fit. Tiffany's, that Tiffany blue that we all know and love. Like if they try to use a neon yellow, it's not going to work. It's going to be off-putting. It's going to just mess up that whole sort of mentality of I'm clicking, I'm shopping, I'm buying. You want to reduce that friction as much as possible.
My wife loves Tiffany blue. I run the other way the second I see it because I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, so here's the other thing, and we're running low on time, so let's make this quick. Some people will say, I put 50 products, I provide 50 products in my email or 40 products in my email because I want to give them the most opportunity to click. Is that going to increase click rates? 10-second answer.
No. People have a short attention span. We see the rise of TikTok and this short content sort of, attention span. People don't have time to scroll 50 products. So bestsellers, things you have overstock of, you can call them your favorites. Anything you're trying to get rid of, but I would say 6 products max is kind of what would be my sweet spot.
There you go. Moving on.
Our next topic predates the click. It's the subject line. Greg, subject line, length, words, and characters to avoid. Emojis. What should brands be paying attention to, if anything, when it comes to subject lines?
Yeah, we get this question all the time, and I've probably, if you pull archives of me, you've got to be saying completely contradictory things. So let me try to parse the middle here. This is interesting because this has obviously changed a lot over time as emails evolved, mobile phones evolved. I'd say for the most part, if you want to look for a safe bet, I would stick between like 4 to 8 words. And that's simply just because of mobile devices, right? You can get most of it seen. If you're on a desktop, I mean, if you do more than that, you're fine, right? Because if you're on a desktop, you're going to get more than that. But I'd say the sweet spot is 48 words. That puts you around 21 to 40 characters, generally somewhere in that ballpark. The other thing we hear about is, hey, should I not do all caps because I'm going to land in the spam filter? Or should I not do special characters, right? Dollar off or percentage sign, or even 3 percentage signs or exclamation points in a row, right? These things, I would say ignore all that stuff. It's not going to matter. Use emojis, use all caps. I used to have clients that tested all caps and it performed better for them. I wouldn't use it all the time, but you need to stand out a little bit. Those are where I go. So I'd say ignore anything that says you're going to land in the spam folder. Nothing's there has ever landed me in the spam folder from that standpoint. I don't see it. But I'd say 48 words, 21 to 40 characters for the most part for mobile optimized subject lines. Use your pre-header text, but I'm going to kick it over to you. You can respond to me and
I
yell
definitely
at me.
I definitely want to get into one other topic in subject lines that we haven't really chatted about, and that's personalization. I definitely want to get your take on that. And I also am curious, that'll be the second part of the question. The first part is, how do you feel about using like RE : or forward : to look at like a personal email? I know for us on the, working with accounts, we're always like, please avoid this at all costs. It looks spammy. It sets up a false pretense. So we try to avoid it as all possible. In terms of testing, like, does that increase spam placement, that kind of stuff, I would say it's that probably could boost your chances of landing in the spam folder. But yeah, I'd love to hear your take on personalization. I think there's a time and place for it. Birthday, like happy birthday, Greg, if I have that information, totally makes sense. And then replying forward, I would avoid that at all costs. So kind of a twofer.
Yeah, so first name personalization, stuff like that, I'm with you. Birthday messages, maybe post-purchase. Beyond that, it does absolutely nothing for me. Most of the time, I find it disingenuous. Sometimes I give fake names or put a space at the end of the name, right? And then you'll get the awkward space, comma. I don't think it matters, right? Ignore the first name personalization, except for those unique situations. Forward, rees, avoid them at all costs. I think technically, I need to go back and refresh myself. I think technically, it is in violation of CAN spam to do that because it's misleading. I need to refresh myself here. I know there are brands that do that all the time. I would avoid it at all costs. I'm with you. I don't know. That's just me. But if I see I'm like, yeah, I'm either deleting it, marking it spam, or if I click it and I'm misled in some way, I am PO'd. I'm not going back.
I'm half tempted to look up the person on LinkedIn to see who's the director of email marketing at that company and be like, hey, can we just have a little heart-to-heart chat? Like, this is how much I'm going to geek out on email right now with you. Like, hey, just saw this. Maybe you're new. Let's just chat through this. I don't know what YouTube specialists you watched today. Not us, because we're recommending against it. Don't do this. It's not a way to boost open rates.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're out of time here. But if you go to the episode description, Omnisend has a free subject line tester tool. You don't need to give your email address or anything. You can plug your subject line in there. It'll give you some recommendations about whether it's really good, give you some suggested ones you can copy and paste in your own campaign. So check out Omnisend's free subject line tester tool. Moving on, topic number 3, Gabe, browse abandonment messages. One of my personal faves. So this was the automation on our yearly stats reports that had the largest increase in automated sends last year. Most increased 20, 30%. Browse abandonment went up more than 200% with the number of messages sent in 2022. So, Gabe, should brands consider browse abandonment an essential part of their email program?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And the nice thing is you kind of start building this sales funnel. I'm going to get all Italian with my hands here because I get excited about the funnel. So you've got browse
Polish
abandonment.
And I do that.
Yeah. So you've got browse abandonment at the very top, right? So and Omnisend gives you this power. I'm going to brag on Omnisend for a little bit. So, we give you the ability to do browse, which is just, category specific. Someone's just on your website. It's a very sort of general message of like, think of it if someone walks into an actual brick and mortar location, it's that first impression of just like, hey, you're here. Is there anything I can help you find? And this is a great opportunity to say, hey, we have live chat customer support. Don't forget we offer free returns, which I know we're going to talk about at a different time. And what other kind of things that sets your brand apart? So this is where you can kind of start building that identity of how are you going to connect with the customer. So that's browse. Then you can get a little bit more specific and you kind of have this product abandonment. And product abandonment kind of lives between browse and cart. Cart we know is going to be high intent to buy. Product is, hey, I've clicked on a specific product, I'm checking it out. Maybe I'm looking at different variants, and then, the dog's barking to go outside. So I haven't put it in my cart, but I definitely have expressed interest in this specific product. And again, that's just another touch point. And you'll set it up so that things automatically get filtered out and people are getting all these messages all the time. You can also set, there it is. You can also set frequency caps. So that way, I would recommend if you're going to set up a browser product abandonment, you're limiting the number of times that person can go through that automation. Maybe like once every 2 weeks, once a month kind of situation. Like you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think it is an essential part. It's been growing year over year. But this is the thing with automation where I think most people don't look at and they say, we saw out of 17 billion marketing emails last year, 82% of all automated orders last year came from only 3 automated series. And that's welcome series, cart abandonment, and browse/product. Right. So if you think about it, welcome, you're at the beginning of this touch phase, right? High shopping intent, cart, high shopping intent, and everything else in the middle is typically your scheduled campaign messages. Browse abandonment fits that, right? We fit there and say, okay, we're going to tackle the window shoppers now. We didn't cart products. Maybe they signed up, but this is where your frequency caps come in. All right. So I would say absolutely yes. Agree with you. Promote your value adds in there, whether it's browse or product. So you should definitely do these things, but think about the intent, the customer. Now, here's the thing. I got an email last week. I forwarded it to my wife. I clicked on something, right? I think it was pajamas or something. And I said, ooh, you might like these. 20, 30 minutes later, I'm signed up for their SMS program, right? I didn't get a browse abandonment email, although they do send them. 30 minutes later, I got a browse abandonment SMS and MMS message. And I was like, ooh, they haven't sent this to me before. So I actually liked it. I'm like, you know what? You took advantage of it. See, look at my hands going. I'm like you. So we're over time. So even the SMS message, it very quickly after the abandonment got me back into that shopping mindset there. So we'll get into actually later. One of these episodes, we're going to talk about omnichannel automation, but it doesn't always have to be email. SMS can pave ways for you. So, all right, we've got to move on. Bells are clicking on us. So let's do it.
Yeah, let's move on to more of a trending topic, and that is returns, which I just talked about. Free returns are good for consumers, but not necessarily for brands. So the $1 million question, Greg, should brands offer free returns? And where do you think this is all heading?
Yeah, this is changing, and I don't like it as a consumer, and I think it works well for brands. So I know the last 2 years, I'm seeing it more and more, even with some returns I did for this past holiday season. We have restocking fees. We have, you have to pay for shipping unless you want the store credit for it. And then you can go to something like Happy Returns, shout out Happy Returns, and return them that way. And then you get full credit for the store. So they're keeping your dollars, or you can pay to have it shipped back and then get your refund for it. And then I'm seeing a bigger rise in stores just not offering free shipping altogether, right? Or free returns altogether. I'm all over the place here. So, for me, I generally look at return policies before I buy something, especially if it's clothing or it's a gift for, namely my wife, right? I'm not going to return something generally if I'm buying it for my parents or brothers. But I think this is a trend we're moving toward. I think we're going to start seeing returns either get dinged a little bit with lesser value, you start paying for those, or just outright, we don't offer free returns. And I don't like it.
And there's a couple different kind of paths I would love to go down with this. And so I'm going to try to get all of them because that's how my ADD brain works. So number one, I think we got comfortable with free returns. And as we kind of move more towards this eco-friendly space, free returns are not great, especially if we're using that as a window shopping experience where I'm going to fill my cart up, buy all the stuff, and then just return what I don't like. That's terrible for the environment, right? So we can kind of, check that. How do we be a more economical and responsible buyer if we're really kind of conscientious about the ecosystem? Number two, Amazon just this week started labeling products on their website. This product is returned often, or high return item. And of course, late night guys had fun with it. It's like, these are the items that you buy when you're drunk, and was like, hey, that was a bad idea. That kind of situation. But I think it's interesting because I think it's an interesting tactic in terms of, it'll be interesting to see what it does to the frequency of purchase of those products. So does that make people more intentional with what they're actually purchasing and kind of slows them down a little bit to avoid that return cost? Or does it just that's even worse than a negative review? It's like, oh, people are saying it's great, we get it, and it's not, send it back. So I'm very curious to see that. Lastly, obviously the big behemoths of the world, Amazon, Old Navy and Gap is at top of mind right now because I've got a pair of my wife's jeans I need to return. And they have a partnership where I go to Staples to drop it off. No one likes to have to make a return in person. So while it's convenient, I would like to avoid the return. I'm friends with the folks at the UPS store. They see me coming all the time with my Amazon packages. But yeah, so I think that's all very interesting. You've got something to say. I can tell.
Yeah, we're pushing time here, but I'm with you, right? I don't like making physical returns, dropping them off at places. I've been doing a lot more lately, mostly Amazon stuff. So if you at the UPS store, they kind of see me coming and they're like, all right, Amazon return? Yeah, we'll take care of you. So, but that does tell me when I go to shop at a store and it doesn't offer free returns, I immediately go to Amazon, which is not something I used to do before.
Yeah.
I start looking at Amazon as a replacement for that because I know I'll get the returns there. So this is actually driving me elsewhere. Very quickly, if you're a store that does offer free returns, this is one of those value adds I think you promote in your email marketing, SMS marketing on your website, right? Browse abandonment messages, specifically cart abandonment messages, even welcome messages, right? Put it in there that we offer free returns and hope they don't return it for you. But I definitely look at return policies now when I shop because it's frustrating for me. And I assume you do as well. Yes, no answer, and then we got to move on.
Yes, I do.
All right. Gabe, final topic today involves size. Email list size, more specifically. I've worked with brands in the past whose directors said they have a list size goal to reach. So to them, it's a number. I want to get 1 million subscribers. I want to get 200,000 subscribers. Let me ask you, Gabe, does size matter?
I get what they're saying. List acquisition cost or email acquisition cost, customer acquisition cost is huge. If you look at a marketing budget, it's going to be super expensive. And we're doing social media ads and you're paying that. Your ad spend is going to be most often your largest chunk of your budget. So you spend all this money to get these customers and you don't want to get rid of them, right? Like that email list is valuable. So I can understand the mentality, but no, it's definitely a quality over quantity situation here. And I've worked with a number of brands, you've worked with a number of brands. There is nothing more satisfying than saying, hey, listen, you have 2 million contacts. 80% of them have not bought from you in 3 years. Do you know they still exist? Is this an email inbox that's even being checked? So let's just play a game. Let's just segment it out. We're going to send this to the 20% of people that are most engaged. And usually it's super generous. When I make an engaged segment for somebody that has that much history, I'm like, they've opened an email in the last 18 months. They've clicked an email in the last 2 years, and they've bought something in the last 2 years. That's a pretty generous thing for most of the price points that people are buying. If you sell mattresses and it's one every 7 years, okay, you got a different story, and that's a little bit more of a challenge. However, if you're selling a t-shirt, that kind of stuff, that's going to be a more frequent purchase. Even seasonality is fine. I worked with a leather jacket company. It was an older brand. You could tell grandma buys leather jackets for all her grandkids once a year on Christmas. Fine. Did they purchase in the last 16 years? So you get them to send to 20%, and magically that email to 20% of their list drives more revenue than their emails to the 2 million list. And it's and even then people are like, well, that was just a fluke. I need to send to my full list. But if you can get them to do it at least once, there's something so satisfying about that.
So it's to me, it's like popping a pimple, right? Which I don't even like popping pimples, but there is a satisfaction to me there. It's kind of this hidden thing. My wife's going to be like, I knew you liked it. So same thing, right? We send to our segmented contacts, our engaged contacts, whatever you want to make that definition. what I always used to say is, okay, let's send to the other 80%. We'll see how that goes. And then you tell me the cost of sending to that 80%. You let me know whether you like spending XYZ every time you send an email for no return whatsoever, right? Ultimately, this comes to a deliverability issue as well. There are things that can impact your inbox placement by sending to unengaged contacts over and over again as well. Obviously, if you're not segmenting, your metrics that you're trying to benchmark against are getting pulled down. It's going to give you an inaccurate measure of your click rates, your conversion rates, because you're sending to a bunch of unengaged contacts. Here's where I would go, right? If you're unsubscribing people and you're monitoring your unsubscribe rate as well, and I know we're pushing time here, Hector is going to yell at me, but if you're losing, cut that 80% out, whatever it is, and you're losing 1,000 contacts a year, you have a list growth goal in mind now. I need at least 1,000 contacts to supplement the list I'm using. This is where SMS to me comes in as well. Can we get people to also sign up for SMS messages? Because if they do unsubscribe, or I unsubscribe them because they become engaged, maybe email is no longer their jam, but SMS is, right? So we have that first party data that we can continue to communicate with them. So final thoughts, Gabe, if you have any. Otherwise, I'm going to move on and wrap this thing up.
I have no final thoughts that can fit in the time allotted left. So we'll save it for
Very good.
Episode.
So if anyone wants more, comment, and Gabe will reach out to you and respond to you. But we're open for conversations. You can find us on LinkedIn. A further reminder to all of you guys out there, if you do have any questions on this or a different topic you want us to future episode, leave them in the comments section. Find us on social. Let us know. And don't forget, click like and subscribe. See, I'm not perfect. I'd be remiss not to mention that while Omnisend has an amazing free plan, if you need a discount for one of Omnisend's premium plans, check out the link, promo code in the video description, and enjoy it. We hope you enjoyed learning something today. I'm Greg Zakowicz.
And I'm Gabe Macaluso.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out any past episodes you may have missed. And until next time, happy marketing, everyone.